The first sign that this peaceful evaluation visit was going to be a disaster came when Inspector Zark stepped off the shuttle and was immediately slapped in the face by a flying boot. Not aimed at him, just launched casually by one of the human recruits doing punishment laps with what looked like an anti-tank rifle strapped to his back. "You all right?" barked a voice like gravel in a blender. Enter Sergeant Vorn Keller, 6'5", built like a fridge someone slapped legs on, and currently holding a megaphone despite standing 2 feet from Zark's face. "Welcome to Site 12. Don't touch anything unless you want to bleed from places you didn't know had arteries." Zark blinked, then slowly lowered his clipboard. "I was under the impression this was a joint training facility, not a penal colony." Vorn grinned, revealing teeth that were either custom gold or just permanently stained by pure malice. "Oh, we're joint all right. You bring the regulations, we bring the trauma." Zark was beginning to understand why none of the other inspectors had returned. They moved past a group of cadets grappling in a mud pit, one screaming, "I am the storm," while the other tried to headbutt a tree for psychological dominance. Vorn didn't even slow down. Team building exercise, builds grit. Zarku made the mistake of asking what kind of grit. Vorn paused, scratched his beard, and replied, "The permanent kind." They passed a course labeled Live Fire Reflex Chamber, which was less reflex training and more a nightmare maze full of drones shooting rubber bullets at groin level. Zark winced as one cadet got nailed so hard he spun like a fidget spinner. "He'll walk it off," Vorn muttered. "Eventually." Zark glanced at the syllabus. This says today's schedule includes the controlled psychological breakdown drills and a segment titled Surprise Bear. Is that a metaphor? Vorn's face darkened. "No," he said grimly. "That's exactly what it sounds like." Before Zark could ask a follow-up question, the alarms went off. Not training alarms, real ones. Red lights, blaring klaxons, a voice yelling over the speakers, "UN scheduled combat scenario initiated. All personnel. Good luck." Zark spun in panic. "Is this a drill?" Vorn just cracked his neck. "If it is, nobody told me." He handed Zark a helmet shaped suspiciously like it had been stolen from a museum exhibit, then slapped him on the back hard enough to bruise his grandchildren. "Welcome to Earth, Inspector. Try not to die in the first 5 minutes. It's bad for morale." Then he sprinted into the chaos, laughing like a lunatic. Zark just stood there, holding his helmet, staring at the flames starting to rise in the distance, and muttered to himself, "No," but it was already too late. Zarka had seen battle before. Skirmishes on Kravik 7, peacekeeping on the sulfur moons of Halvet Prime. Even that one time, the Zarnik's hive mind tried to absorb a diplomatic envoy and accidentally got food poisoning. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the absolute clown colony on fire insanity that was a surprise combat scenario at Site 12. He ducked behind what he thought was cover only for the cover to start vibrating and then explode into confetti as a hidden human mind launched a celebratory flashbang for reasons he would later find out were labeled tactical morale enhancement. A cadet rolled past him wearing night vision goggles and no pants, screaming, "For the pancakes," while dual-wielding flare guns. Another sprinted by holding what Zark swore was just a kitchen blender duct taped to a car battery. "Improvised perimeter defense," Vorn barked as he appeared from the smoke, dragging a dazed alien commando by the ankle like a sack of regret. "We teach him to weaponize everything, even breakfast appliances." Zark tried to process this, but his translator short-circuited on tactical Nutri-Bullet. "Is this a war zone or an asylum?" he wheezed. Vorn just shrugged. "Bit of both. Keeps him sharp. Plus, surprise trauma makes excellent muscle memory." A siren howled overhead and a mechanical voice screamed, "Warning, Training Bunker 3 has gone rogue." Zark blinked. "What does that mean?" Vorn grinned. "Means the AI's achieved limited sentience and decided it hates the instructor." Something exploded in the distance. "We'll deal with that after lunch." Zark started to protest, but was immediately silenced by the sight of the human recruit standing calmly in the middle of a firestorm, sipping what appeared to be boiling coffee and giving orders to a squad using only eyebrow movements. "That's Lieutenant Kess," Vorn explained. "Scored a perfect in unarmed combat by breaking the testing droid's will to live." Zark looked at the wreckage of said droid, which now resembled a metal pretzel with depression. Your cadets are unorthodox, he muttered. Our cadets are survivors, Vorn shot back. We train them to think fast, hit hard, and break everything that isn't nailed down, including the rules if necessary. At that moment, a squadron of quad-legged training drones burst from the tree line, guns blazing. Zark braced for death. The humans just laughed. One of them lobbed what looked like a lunch tray coated in thermite. Another yelled, "Boop!" and tackled a drone into a pit full of what may or may not have been industrial-grade glue. In under 60 seconds, the battlefield was eerily quiet. The drones were wreckage. The humans were high-fiving. One had stolen a drone's leg and was now using it as a walking cane. Zark, covered in ash and existential dread, looked at Vorn. This is madness. Vorn nodded proudly. Damn right it is, and that's why it works. He tossed Zark a protein bar with a skull on the wrapper. Snack break. You'll need the energy. The next phase is live hostage extraction. And guess who's playing the hostage? Zark didn't even answer. He just bit the bar, stared into the middle distance, and whispered again, "No," as the humans prepped the next round of chaos like it was a team-building game of dodgeball with grenades. Zarky didn't know if it was the protein bar laced with unregulated stimulants, the flashbang to the temple, or just his last few shreds of sanity finally waving the white flag, but he now found himself zip-tied to a folding chair in the center of what humans affectionately referred to as the kill house. Around him, darkness, broken only by pulsing red strobe lights, the smell of old gym socks and cordite, and the faint, haunting melody of Barbie Girl playing on loop over the facility speakers. "Why am I tied to this?" he asked Vorn, who was sipping a soda in a viewing booth, like this was an interstellar reality show. "Scenario 5C, Vorn replied cheerfully. "Hostage in hostile territory. The recruits have to locate you, extract you, and neutralize every target while navigating randomized chaos elements." Zarku's mandibles clicked. Randomized what now? The lights went black. A siren wailed. Smoke filled the chamber. And then chaos erupted. One cadet burst through a wall using a repurposed maintenance exosuit. Another descended from the ceiling by duct tape and sheer willpower, shouting, "Ninja drop," as they belly flopped onto a fake enemy combatant. A third recruit flash-kicked the door open while holding 2 sparking stun batons and shouting, "Taser friendship," as they zapped 3 training drones into reboot purgatory. Zark screamed, not in fear, but in sheer unfiltered confusion. One of the drones turned towards him. Before it could fire, a recruit wearing a frying pan on his head shoulder tackled it into the abyss. "Secured the VIP," the recruit shouted, hoisting Zark and immediately running headfirst through what looked like a drywall partition and straight into another squad of drones. Vorn was laughing, hard. He clicked a button. Phase 3, fire suppression system test. The ceiling rained foam. Zark choked. His rescuer skidded across the floor and used the foam like a slip and slide to escape through a hallway labeled "Totally Not a Trap." Which of course it was. They dodged electric floor panels, automated Nerf turrets modified to fire stun rounds at Mach 2, and a hologram of a very angry goose that screamed every time someone got too close. Finally, they burst into daylight, or what passed for daylight on this cursed base, and tumbled out into a grassy clearing where the rest of the cadets were already assembled, many missing eyebrows or carrying bits of broken drone for use as trophies. Zark, foam-covered and absolutely emotionally compromised, wheezed on the ground while Vorn strolled over with a grin. "Well, what do you think of our training methods?" Zark stared up at him, one eye twitching. "Your methods are insane. Your cadets are lunatics. Your facility violates 17 galactic safety codes. That goose has teeth. Teeth." Vorn offered him a hand, and yet, "We win wars." Zark took it reluctantly, pulling himself up and looking back at the kill house, which now had a small fire, 2 sparking droids trying to high-five, and a cadet doing the worm across the roof. "I'm submitting this to the Galactic Council," he muttered. Vorn smirked. "Go ahead, they'll just send more envoys." Zark groaned. "No," he muttered, which at this point had become his spiritual mantra. A cadet walked past, holding a toaster, hooked up to C4. "Hey, Commander, breakfast bomb ready?" Zark turned, eyes wide. You're training them to weaponize breakfast? Vorn chuckled. We don't train them to. They just do it anyway. Humanity, my friend. You don't manage it, you survive it. Liked this gentle escape? Subscribe and hit the bell so you're always notified when a new story is waiting for you.